A very good morning to all of you. Today we are going to discuss about the biological aspects of the water pollution. As we know that water is an important component of our natural ecosystem, and the day by day water is polluting. There are different pollutions. They are affecting the water quality. So today we will discuss different sources of water pollution and what are the consequences of water pollution and how we can overcome these kind of water pollution problems. Before starting the topic, I would like to start with the major categories of water pollutants. Okay, there are several sources that are affecting the water. Means water is polluting from major sources. These are the infectious agents that will include some bacteria, viruses, protozoa, parasite. Okay, so these infectious agents can be from the human as well as from animal waste. Then second kind of pollutant which is affecting the water is oxygen demanding waste. That includes the water oxygen debris, waste and aerobic bacteria. It may come from the sewage and feedlots, paper mills, food processing plants. Then inorganic chemicals are also affecting the water. This is an important kind of water pollutant like acids, different kinds of metals, salts. They are coming from surface runoff, industrial waste. They are also having some kind of negative impacts on the water quality. Radioactive materials, I have already discussed that different radioactive materials are a very dangerous kind of pollutant. They are affecting the water of the different type, like when we talk about fresh water or ocean, both are get affected by the radioactive materials. It includes iodine, radon, uranium, cesium. Okay, so these radioactive materials are coming from different power plants. That power plants are generally the coal and nuclear power plants. Then there are different weapon testing processes are occurring around the world. Okay, then plant nutrients. There are different water pollutant sources from the plants, that is nitrates, phosphates. Okay, it is coming from sewage and from agricultural and landscaping runoff. Organic chemicals like oil, gasoline, plastics, pesticides. Okay, these are also a kind of pollutants that are affecting the water. It is coming from industrial influent, household cleaners, and runoff from the farms and yards. And also some natural processes like erosion, eroded sediments. The sediments coming from the erosion of the soil, erosion of the silt or rock, it is also affecting the water. It's a kind of water pollutant. And another kind of pollutant is heat or thermal pollution, that is coming from power plants and industrial waste. So these are the major categories. These are the major sources of the pollutants that are affecting the water quality around the world. Okay, so what are the causes and consequences? What are the causes and effects of the water pollution? Water pollution causes a severe illness and death in the humans and other species, and it also disturbs the ecosystem. Natural ecosystems are seriously hampered by the high level of water pollution. The major sources of water pollution are agricultural activities. As we know that India is agriculture based country, so there are a lot of agricultural activities are occurring around the India. Industrial facilities like industrial factories or different industrial waste are also affecting the water quality. This is a kind of water pollution. Mining activities are there, they are also contributing as a water pollution. But growth in the population and resource use make it increasingly worse. Okay, all these are kind of water pollution, but the rapid population growth and rapid urbanization and the over exploitation of the natural resources are making it a very serious condition. Water pollution are converting into a serious condition, serious issue, because of the rapid population growth and the over exploitation of the natural resources. Okay, so the water pollution coming from point and non-point sources. Okay, water pollution may come from two kind of sources. One kind of sources are considered as non-point sources, and one is point sources. So the non-point sources includes the water pollution that may from chemical, biological, or physical changes in the water quality. Okay, the point sources means if a specific location is affecting the water quality. If the pollution is coming from a specific location. So these kind of sources are known as point sources. Okay, the point sources or the specific location based source for the water pollution is easy to identify. You can easily identify the location or the place of the source. We can monitor and regulate the laws and rules. Okay, non-point sources, it is very difficult to identify the source of such kind of pollutants. It may be broad and it may be having diffuse areas, and it is very expensive to clean the pollution coming from the non-water sources. So depending on the origin of the pollutants, or depending on the, you can say, depending on the location from where the pollution or different kinds of pollutants are mixing with the water, it's very important to locate that place, and we can go for some prevention measures for clean up the water. So water pollution are directly affected by two kind of sources, that is known as point sources and non-point sources. Okay, this is another example of point source. Means you know the source from where it is coming, so it's very easy to prevent such kind of pollutants. The agricultural activities leading the cause of water pollution, it may be in the form of sediments that is eroded from the land, fertilizers, as we know that for different kinds of fertilizers and pesticides are used for improving the agricultural productivity. So these are also a point source. Bacteria from the livestock and food processing waste is also a kind of point sources. Industrial facilities, as we know that industrial waste are a kind of important component for water pollution. But we know the location of the industry, we know the location of that mining activity, we know the location of that factory. So these kind of pollutions, or the pollutions or different kinds of pollutants coming from the known sources, are known as point sources. It's easy to identify, it's easy to locate, and you can go for some prevention measures. Okay, now moving to the next slide. If second kind of pollution which is coming from the non-point sources, there are other sources of the water pollution that will include the parking lots, toxic materials and sediments that collect on their impervious surfaces. It may be prevents it may prevent the rains from soaking in and worsening the flooding. Human-made materials like plastic and polymers, they are also a kind of non-point sources. And because of these kind of materials, you can say the non-point sources of the pollution, they are affecting the climate. Because of this, the climate is changing day by day, and it is because of the global warming. Some areas over the India or around the world are getting more precipitation, some areas are having less precipitation. So these are the sign of climate change. Okay, in some cases you see there are drought condition is there, there are flooding condition, somewhere there is a flooding condition, somewhere there is a drought condition. Okay, so these are consequences of the changing climate, and that is because of the global warming. And the pollutions coming from point and non-point sources are one of the important contributor for such kind of climate change activities and global warming. Okay, so the harmful effects of the major water pollutants. Because of the water pollutants, we may have different infectious diseases that may be contaminated in the drinking water. The World Health Organization, according to World Health Organization, 3 million people die every year, and mostly under the age of 5, from drinking the contaminated water. This contaminated water is because of different harmful bacteria and viruses that can be mixed with the water. And 1.2 billion people have no access to drinking water, and diarrhea that is caused mostly by the polluted water kills young child every 18 seconds. Okay, so these are some serious issues. These are some harmful effects of the contaminated water, the use of contaminated water on the human health. Okay, so these are the major water pollutant sources. And like you see, type infectious diseases, example bacteria, virus, protozoa, it's already discussed with all of you. These are the major sources of different kinds of pollutants, and the examples of such kind of pollutants like bacteria, virus, then biodegradable animal waste, nitrates, phosphorus. Okay, these are the major sources of water pollutants. And you can see it includes all over the It includes the multiple components. It will have some biological components, it will have some physical components, it is having some chemical components. So the water pollutants or different kinds of pollutants are of three types, you can say: physical components, biological components, or chemical components. Okay, so these are the common diseases that may be transmitted to the human through the use of contaminated water. When we drink the contaminated water, we may be affecting by different diseases that may be typhoid, cholera, and then enteris, infectious hepatitis B, okay, poliomyelitis, MBO dynasty, giardiasis. These are some of the diseases that are from different kind of contaminated water. Okay, so and also you see the effects of such diseases. In typhoid fever you will have then severe vomiting, enlarged spleen, inflamed intensive, often fatal if untreated. Okay, cholera, having severe vomiting, dehydration, often fatal if untreated. So you see, the contaminated water is having very serious impact on the human health in terms of different diseases that may be transmitted from the contaminated water, that may be transmitted from the bacteria or viruses that is contaminated in the drinking water, and to the humans, that is affecting the human health in terms of different diseases. These are some serious diseases. If it is not cured in a proper way, it may be very harmful and people can die in case of not preventing or not having proper cure of such kind of diseases. Okay, so pollution in the streams. So the streams are a major source of water to major rivers. So because of different kinds of materials, because of different kinds of solid waste coming from the urbanized area or maybe from the natural sources, they are affecting or they are polluting the streams, and ultimately because of the pollution in the streams, they are affecting the rivers. Okay, so the type of organism you can see here, we may have different kinds of organic materials or inorganic materials, and these are the kind of oxygens dissolved in the water. So because of this pollution, the dissolved oxygen in the water is also affected. The oxygen, the concentration of oxygen in the water bodies are also affecting by the pollutions, different kinds of point and non-point sources, that is affecting the natural ecosystem, or that is affecting the, you can say, the marine ecosystem as well as the lives living in the water bodies. So this figure is very clearly show you the clean zone, then decomposition zone, septic zone, recovery zone, and the clean zone. So how, in case of some kind of toxic materials, in case of some kind of organic materials or inorganic materials, because of this, the total dissolved content of the oxygen in the water is decreased, that will be harmful to the living organisms in that water. Okay, so this is the way how the streams or rivers are get polluted from different point and non-point sources. So this is an example of point source. You see there is a drainage, the water, the contaminated water, or the waste coming from the drainage is mixing with the water bodies, and that is affecting the water quality and decreasing the concentration of oxygen. Okay, and also the what are the benefits of floodplain? In case of flooding, it is having highly productive wetlands, and it provides the natural flood and erosion control, maintaining the high water quality. Flooding is having negative impacts, but in some cases, because of flooding we may have some benefits. Okay, the flood plain or the, because of the flood, the area will be highly productive, it will have high water quality, it will recharge the groundwater, and it will be very much useful for the fertile soils and the river nearby rivers for use and recreation. So there are some benefits of flooding also. Instead of you can say a lot of negative impacts of the flooding, but still we are having some benefits of the floods in case of in terms of highly productivity, in of agricultural crops, and it will be useful for recharging the underground water and etc. Okay, and also it is having some danger, it is having some destructive effects of the floods. It will have deadly and destructive effects. Human activities worsen the floods, failing dams and water diversion. Okay, so this is an example. This is a figure showing the case study of St. Louis, the before flooding and after flooding. You can see the satellite images of the before flooding condition and after flooding condition. So you see most of the area before flooding is normal, but when there is a flood, you see the water will be overflowing from the rivers. The water will be overflowing from the rivers, and it may be affecting the area surrounding that river. So this can be done using the satellite based observation, earth observation data sets. Like this is the image captured by the Landsat TM sensor. The image will clearly show you how much area is affected by the flood by taking the images, by taking the data from post flood and pre flood condition. Okay. Okay, flooding after deforestation of hillside, and deforestation is also having the impact in the flooding because of the deforestation. If it is a forested hillside, if there is a forested area, so because of heavy rainfall, there will be less chance of flooding, and these kind of highly forested area will improve the evapotranspiration process, and it will also reduce the soil erosion. If the land is covered with the dense forest, or the land is covered with the vegetation, so definitely it will reduce the soil erosion in case of heavy rainfall. And also these kind of densely forest area will improve the evapotranspiration process, that will improve the rainfall condition and water quality. So here this is the case where the area is covered with the forest, it's a forested hillside. So in case of heavy rainfall, there will be no flooding because most of the water will be absorbed by the roots of the forest, roots of the vegetation, and also it will reduce the soil erosion. That will be, you can say, because of the soil erosion, the nutrients which is in the soil will be lost during the surface runoff. So this is the case where area is covered with the forest. And in case of deforestation, if the forest is cutted from there, if there is deforestation, so most of the soil can be eroded. That will also will be resulted in the form of landslides. So if there is no tree, if there is no vegetation, no forest, so in case of heavy rainfall, it will cause in terms of landslides, and also it will be affecting the soil quality. It will run off the soil nutrients in case of heavy rainfall. So deforestation is one of the important factor behind the flooding condition, behind the soil erosion. Soil erosion can be reduced, soil erosion can be diminished by planting more trees, and also this kind of forestation. More number of forest means there will be the less chance of landslide. Okay, so this is the condition where you see the effect of forested area before forestation and after deforestation. Okay, so the forested area, the land which is covered by the forest, can reduce the flood risk. That will have the channelization, leaves, dams. It can protect and restore the wetlands. It will be used for identify and manage the flood-prone areas and precautionary approach. Lake pollution. Lake is an important source of water. You can say the lake can be considered as an important component of the natural ecosystem, and because of the water pollution, lakes are also get polluted. Okay, because of the dilution of different pollutants in the lakes are also get polluted. Dilution less effective than the streams. The stratification in the lakes and the relatively little flow hinders the rapid dilution of the pollutants. Lakes are more vulnerable to the pollutants than the streams. Okay, because in streams water are continuously moving, water are continuously flowing, so it may be less effect of the pollutants in on the streams. But the lakes are stagnant water. Lakes are stagnant waters, and if the lake is polluted by some harmful materials and dangerous, or you can say different kinds of pollutants, it's more vulnerable to get the poor water quality. Okay, so how the pollutants are entering into the lakes? What are the major sources of the pollutants that are affecting the lakes? The one of the important kind of pollution for the lakes are eutrophication and oligotrophic and eutrophication, like cultural eutrophication and preventing or removing the eutrophication. So eutrophication, I have already discussed the process of eutrophication in the previous class. What is eutrophication? So lakes are mostly affected by the process of eutrophication. Most of the lakes are having the layer of the vegetation on the upper surface that can cause the serious concern over the biological cycle of the lakes. Okay, so this is the condition of the oligotrophic and eutrophic lakes. You can see the lakes are covered with the highly concentrated algae blooms and other vegetation. That will be because of the high accelerated growth of the vegetation, and that will affect the natural ecosystem, that will affect the biological cycle of the water in that lake. Okay. Groundwater pollution. What are the causes and persistence for the groundwater pollution? Then what are the sources of groundwater pollution? It's a slow dilution and a dispersion. The consequences of lower dissolved oxygen, fewer bacteria to decompose the waste, cooler temperature that is slow down the chemical reaction, and degradable waste in the groundwater. The waste can be of two types: degradable and non-degradable. So if the waste is non-degradable, so it will be having high impact. It will having negative impacts on the groundwater that will affect the underground water quality. Okay, so this is the case of groundwater pollution. Okay, in case of groundwater pollution, you see the pollutants coming from different sources, coming from industries, coming from some urban waste, coming from some gasoline stations, some pesticides and fertilizers. So these are there are different sources that are affecting the groundwater in terms of poor water quality and the contamination of different materials, arsenic and other kind of toxic materials. Okay, so groundwater pollution is from different sources. It is coming from industrial waste, it is coming from urban waste. Urban waste may be two types: degradable and non-degradable. Then there may be some pollutants from the fertilizers and pesticides used in the agricultural practices. Then there may be some pollutants from the gasoline stations. Then there may be some sewage system. Sewers are also having negative impacts on the underground water quality. Okay, so this is the groundwater pollution. The extent of the groundwater pollution, it's not much is known about the groundwater pollution. The organic contaminants that will include the fluid leaks, arsenic, and it is also protecting the groundwater. That is prevention is the best cure for the groundwater pollution. Okay, so how to prevent the pollution in the groundwater? So these are some measures, these are some preventions that can be taken for cleaning up the pollution in the underground water. You have to find substitute for the toxic chemicals and keep the toxic chemicals out of the environment. We should install some monitoring wells near the landfill sites and underground tanks. It is also required to leak the detectors on the underground tank. We should ban the hazardous waste disposal sites, and cleaning the underground water, for cleaning the water quality in the of the underground sources. We have to pump to surface clean and return to the aquifer, inject the microorganism to clean up the contaminated water in underground, and the we can also pump the non nanoparticles of the inorganic compounds to remove the pollutants. That may be the cheapest and easiest way to reduce or to clean the pollution in the underground water. Okay, so these are the solutions that can be used for removing or reducing the pollution level in the groundwater. Prevention and the cleanup. Prevention and cleanup, these are the two kind of solutions for cleaning up the pollution level in the groundwater. Okay. Now ocean pollution. Ocean pollution is already discussed with you all. Okay, most of the coastal regions, the area near to the coast are affecting by some industrial waste that may be coming from uh, some nitrogen in the form of nitrogen oxides, then chemicals that is having heavy metals, and the urban area around along the coastal regions, they are having some toxic metals, that is oil from the streets and parking lots, that is polluting the waters. Sewage system is also affecting the sea surface or sea water quality. Urban sprawl, because of the rapid urbanization along the coast, a lot of bacteria and viruses are coming from the sewer systems, that are septic tank contaminated shellfish beds and closed beaches. Construction sites, because of the continuous construction activities in the urban area along the coastal region, there are different kinds of sediments that are washed into the waterways, and it is choking the fish and plants, that is having negative impact on the water. Okay, so this figure is showing different sources, different pollutants that are causing the pollution to the oceans. Okay, and also consequently they are affecting the health of the living organisms. They are also affecting the natural ecosystem of the marine or the coastal region. Okay. So these are some case studies where you can see the areas along the Gulf of Mexico. This area is considered as the area with the depleted oxygen layer. Means the oxygen level in the the ocean. This is the case where the a part of ocean is having very less amount of the oxygen. It is considered as the consider of depleted oxygen. Depleted oxygen means oxygen level is very poor. The concentration of oxygen is reduced up to a dangerous level. So these kind of oceans are not good for the life or organisms living in that part of the river, or you can say the yeah, oceans. Chixpee Bay. Chixpee Bay is also a kind of coastal area. This coastal area is near to the US, and they are having very serious pollution problem. They are having very serious issues in case of depletion of oxygen level in the water, and eventually they are affecting the living organisms in that ocean. Okay, so you see here the some of the area is having very low concentration of the oxygen, some of the area is having no oxygen near to that Chixpee Bay. Okay, so these are some effects of the oil on ocean life. As we know that oceans or sea route are used for the trading, so because of this, different kinds of ships are continuously trading through the sea. So they are having oil spills. So that is because of the crude and refined petroleum, the tanker accident and blowouts. Then there may be volatile hydrocarbons, that is giving the larva, the tar-like globe coat birds and the marine mammals. Oil destroys the insulation and the buoyancy. Heavy oil sinks and kills the bottom organisms. The coral reefs may be died because of the mixing of oil in the water of the ocean. There may be the very slow recovery, and oil slicks ruin the beaches, and there may be the effectiveness of the cleanup methods. So these are some effects of the oil slicks or oil spill on the ocean life, or you can say the organism and life cycle of the oceans. So how to prevent such kind of pollution in the coastal region? How we can prevent the pollution level, how we can prevent or clean up the pollution in the coastal regions? We should implement several preventions, like we should reduce the input of toxic pollutants. We should have separate sewage and the storm lines. It is also required to ban the dumping of the waste and sewage by the maritime and cruise ships. It is also required to ban the ocean dumping of the sludges. and protect the sensitive areas from the development, oil drilling and oil shipping, regulate the coastal development, and recycling the oil, and which is also required to use the double hulls for the oil tankers. And for cleaning up the water in the oceans, we should improve the oil spill cleanup capabilities. Sprinkle nanoparticles can be used over an oil or sewage spill to dissolve the oil or sewage without creating the harmful byproducts. And it is also required at least secondary treatment of the coastal sewage, and it is very useful to apply the wetlands, solar aquatic or other methods to treat the sewage system near to the coastal region. So these are the solutions by which we can prevent our coastal region. We can clean up the water in the oceans using these measures. Okay, so how to prevent non-point sources? Point sources are easy to identify. Point sources can be easily identified, and you can prevent the pollution coming from the point sources. But in case of non-point sources, it's very hard, very difficult to identify the non-point sources. So in that case, it's mostly the agricultural waste, and we should use the vegetation to reduce the soil erosion, and we should reduce the use of fertilizers and pesticides in agricultural practices, agricultural productivity, and use the plant buffer zone around the field. Integrated pest management is required, that only use the pesticides when the necessary in that area, and also use the plant buffer around the animal feedlots, and keep the feedlots away from the slopes, the surface water and the flood zone. These are some preventions that can be applied to reduce the effect of pollutants coming from the non-point sources. Okay, so there are different laws for reducing the point source solution. Clean Water Act, Water Quality Act. These are the laws that are implemented, that may be implemented for reducing the pollutants coming from the point sources. Sewage system that is used for the treating or cleaning the water coming from the sewage. Sewage treatment in rural and suburban areas are required to install it. There may be some septic tanks. The primary sewage treatment is required in urban area. Then biological treatment and biological sewage system is required. Urban sewage treatment is required. Sewage treatment facilities in many cities fail to meet the federal standards. So we need to develop sewage treatment facilities in most of the cities to reduce the effect of pollutants coming from the sewage system. And we can clean up the water coming from the sewage so that it will have very less effect on the rivers and the lakes and other water resources, water bodies in that area. Okay, and also we can use chlorine, ozone and ultraviolet radiation for disinfectants. Means you can mix the chlorine and ozone, and ultraviolet radiation can also be used for disinfecting the water bodies in case of it is mixed with the bacteria and viruses. Okay, so the typical septic tank system, it's a system that can be used for treating the water coming from the sewage. So this is, you can you can see here the septic tank. It's a kind of main hole that is connected with the uh, solid waste coming from your house, and you, in this septic tank, you can clean up the water, and that water can be used for different applications, because it's now having very less concentration of toxic materials or different kinds of degradable or non-degradable materials. Okay, so this is the way we can use the sewage system. We can implement the primary and secondary sewage treatment system. Okay, so this is the entire process where we can start with a bar screen, then grit chamber is having some materials that will be used for the treating or cleaning the water. That water can be used for uh, drinking purpose, as well as for it can be used to mix it with the rivers and the lakes. So because all the bacteria and viruses are killed during the secondary process, where we can mix up with chlorine and other materials that can kill the bacteria and viruses. So now this water can be allowed to mix with the river and lake, and it can also be used for other applications, like it can be used for agricultural practices and other daily uses. So okay, so this is the way where we can use the sewage treatment system, and it is, you can say, it's a way where we can apply these kind of activities to reduce the water quality and to reduce the pollution pollutants in the water, and we can also improve the water quality, so it will be used for different applications. These are the systems. These are some improved sewage treatment system. That system that includes the hazardous waste, non-hazardous substitutes, compositing the toilet system, working with nature to treat the sewage, and we can use the wetlands to treat the sewage. Also, we are having ecological wastewater treatment system. This is the way where we can use ecological system. We can apply ecological treatment to improve the water quality, or to treat or to clean up the water using some ecological processes. So this is one of the latest or new innovative idea for cleaning up the water based on the ecological wastewater treatment system. Okay. So the Clean Water Act will be should be strengthened for most of the environmentalists, most of the persons working in the field of environmental conservation, water resource conservation. Okay, so most of the environmentalists is agree with the strengthening the Clean Water Act. Okay, but the farmers and other manufacturers and the industrialists, they are not very much interested in strengthening the water Clean Water Act. Okay, so state and local officials want more discretion regarding this water act that should be strengthened. Drinking water quality, it requires the purification of urban drinking water, the purification of drinking water in the developing countries, and because of the unavailability of drinking water in most of the cities, the packed water, the bottled water is now being used for different person. So we should improve the drinking water quality, and also these are some solutions that can be applied, that can be taken into consideration for reducing the water quality. We should prevent the contamination in the groundwater. It should be having, we should reduce the non-point pollutants, the pollutants coming from the non-point sources. We should reuse the treated wastewater for irrigation purposes. We should find out the substitutes for the toxic pollutants. We should work with the nature to treat the sewage, and we should work on the 4 R's, that is refuse, reduce, recycle, and reuse. By applying these 4 R's in our daily life, we can easily improve the water quality by reducing the pollution level in the water. Okay, so for that we have to reduce the use of fertilizers. We have to minimize the use of pesticides in the agricultural lands. We should never apply the fertilizers near a body of the water, grow or buy the organic foods. We should focus on the growing of organic foods, organic vegetables, and we should compost your food waste. Do not use the water fresheners in the toilets. Do not flush the unwanted medicines down the toilet, and do not pour the pesticides, paints, different solvents, and oil or other products that may be harmful, that may contain the harmful chemicals that will consequently affecting the water quality. So these are the solutions uh, for preventing, for reducing the water pollution. And also we should have some preventions. We should have some uh, applications of this water pollution, and we should do these activities for reducing the water quality, or we should have the good water quality for drinking purpose and other applications. So thank you very much for today's class, and if you have any question, then you can ask regarding today's lecture. Thank you very much.